And now, here's your host of Shaping Success, Wes Tankersley.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to Shaping Success. I'm your host, Wes Tankersley. Hey, before we get started, can you do me a favor? Can you start a watch party if you're watching this live? If you're listening to this on the podcast, please like, share, and review. Help me to grow the show. I want to talk a little bit about my sponsor. If you haven't noticed, my shows are live on the TVPBN network. They sponsor the show. They run this. If you are interested in starting a show, DM me, and I'll try and get you set up so that we can get you on the network that reaches many people. Hey, today our guest is Mitchell Bailey. Mitchell, along with Mark Simo, co-founded a company called Trust Me Vodka. Mark is a former guest of the show. This time we're going to talk to the man behind the art and the name. Mitchell, welcome to the show.
Hi, Wes. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, hey, it's good to have you on here because I think that there's quite a bit to Trust Me that is awesome. You know, it seems like it's run by a bunch of entrepreneur people, kind of serial entrepreneurs. Would you say that that's kind of what you are?
Oh, yes, for sure. Got a lifetime of I guess failures to get to something like this that seems to be growing and getting some legs and a lot of fun and a lot of people behind it. So I'm enjoying it.
Well, the show is kind of about giving people a blueprint to success, like how you created that, what you did, and the kind of things that you did. Can you tell us a little bit about your growing up, you know, kind of where you grew up and how your life was kind of, you know, up until high school?
Yeah, I actually was born in Florida as my family was traveling the country. Both parents originally from Southern California, but my dad was motocross. Motocross was born in Europe, but the Americans, my dad was one of the first Americans to successfully beat the Europeans, kind of have that title, become a professional motocross coach. And then my older brother became, you know, his kind of, I guess if you just watched Tiger, it's a little similar to that as far as just being able to build, you know, this perfect motocross specimen with a smooth style. And my brother went on to be number one in the world, supercross, motocross. And we ended up, after being born in Florida, ended up stopping in Virginia where there was a large professional motocross track there. And my dad ended up buying a couple acres there and building our home. And had a really unique childhood growing up on a professional motocross track with a family kind of born into motocross. And a lot of people that came and visited us from California and all over the world to train with my dad and as well as my brothers as he became top in the world. And for me, it was really cool to see all the people that came through there. A lot of different people, and even though I was kind of in the backwoods of Virginia, I was able to touch and be around a lot of people and have a lot of diversity. Blessed to, I think, have that shape kind of who I've become. Over the years, I also went to, because motocross was kind of in and out, not being that we only had it certain times throughout the year there, and it wasn't like it is in California, other places where it's year round. I was kind of a basketball, soccer, and ended up actually getting a scholarship to South Carolina for those sports and nothing to do with motocross. So I feel like, you know, the family kind of assumed that I would go that route. And I think my dad was probably hoping I would, but I ended up doing it more for fun and ended up actually not even going to college. I ended up kind of after everything happened, it was just something felt right about going to California. So my brother ended up getting injured when he was number one in the world in 1987. He moved to California, and then when I graduated high school, I immediately, with my mom, we also moved to San Diego, and been here ever since. And we'll circle back to it, but also that's kind of where I met Mark and his brother Brian Simo was through when they came to our house in Virginia to train with my dad and brother. So it's kind of funny how everything comes full circle.
Yeah, and it's amazing how connection works like that. You know, kind of the same thing. I ran into Mark based on getting some vodka delivered to me from Sonny Bass. So it's all this full circle thing I feel like things are supposed to happen that way. It's kind of a fate thing. So you talked a little bit about not going to college. What kind of spurned that was, me growing up, and we're pretty close to the same age. It sounds like, and the American dream kind of was like with my parents. It's like you need to go to college, and that's how you're going to be successful. These are the things you need to do, and so we always thought that that's what we were supposed to do. I'm assuming there probably wasn't much blowback. Did your parents go to college, and did they push you to go to college?
No, they didn't, and they didn't push me. Of course, they supported me, and I guess that's the best part is it was kind of do what you want to do. So the school that I went to was a college prep school. I was fortunate enough with my parents in our situation to have that opportunity, and obviously learned a lot. So my high school years and even junior high school years were very much college-like. I guess maybe that might be somewhat what turned me off, is I feel like the grind of what I'd done and just what I felt and what I wanted to do. I think the decision was kind of mine and my mom's once I went through everything, and it was kind of like, cool, I made it. I got the opportunity to go to school and play soccer and play tennis, but it was there was just something about it that just, one day after that, it was just kind of like, man, we started, talking about the future, and I was going to be moving away to go to school, and it was just, I don't know, just didn't feel right, didn't feel like I wanted to do, and we both kind of, similar to me and Mark starting Trust Me Buck, it was kind of like, hey, what if we went to California? And it was just like, boom, let's go. I mean, we loaded up a big truck and drove across country and been here ever since. And I think again, that entrepreneurial side that you talk about, you don't necessarily at that age, I think, even know what that means. It's a little different today, but back then I didn't even know what that means. I just knew that I was a creative type of person. I think I got that from my brother and my parents. Like I said, my dad built our home, and a lot of the things that he did, he kind of created and was the pioneer of different things in the motocross world. So I feel just having that type of that blood to where not wanting to sit behind a desk and just being able to like get out there and do something. You don't even, like I said, necessarily know what it is, but once you get to California, there's a whole nother world of opportunities and things you can do. So it's kind of up to you at that point.
Well, I assume there's a starting point. We'll talk about it in a second here, but you kind of said you were artistic, and then you ended up working was Spy your first job? I'm assuming you probably might have had a few little side jobs before then, but you started working for Spy, and you weren't really kind of what you're doing now, right? How did you start out there? How did that go?
No, so I actually started out when I moved to California. I started out with No Fear first. So I went to No Fear. I didn't get a full-time job at No Fear, but Mark's talked about it. No Fear, would do millions of shirts a year, and daily they were looking for X amount of T-shirt designs, and they pumped out T-shirt designs nonstop. They were the creators of that. So I went in there just kind of like, hey, here's a stacks of drawings and different things, and through the fact of my family and my brother, I was able to get a foot in the door and be fortunate in that way that they would even talk to me probably. But through that, I was able to like, hey, yeah, cool, come back and bring us this, bring us 5 designs, and they would kind of pay me as I did designs. And the crazy part I talk about is I didn't know anything about computers, Macintosh, any computers as far as design goes. So what was crazy is I was hand drawing everything, and if they wanted a color design or they wanted 5 options, I was sitting there and coloring 5 different options by hand. And now today you're clicking buttons and life's a lot easier. But I look back at that, it was amazing. But that was actually my start. Prior to Spy didn't even exist yet. Once they did the subdivision and created Spy and kind of pushed that over to a different building, had that opportunity. There was about 5 of us from No Fear that went over and kind of got the legs going on that.
So you've pretty much been at the ground level of almost everything that Mark's done. It's kind of crazy to hear that. But you created your own branding from that as well, right? So where did it go from moving from, because you got into Spy, then you started designing helmets, right, for a company?
Yeah, so from there, basically what I found out from working with No Fear and then getting introductions through other brands in action sports and motocross. Like I said, California opens the doors to a lot of possibilities of what you can do. So I was fortunate to have a lot of motocross brands and creating motocross graphics, working for athletes specifically and creating kind of their looks in motocross gear, helmets. So yeah, a good friend of mine when I moved out here, AP Designs, he is currently the helmet painter for Monster Energy. So he pretty much every helmet that you see out there is painted by him. And I basically worked with him, creating just artwork and designs for him to kind of have someone that thought similar to him, was able to just open a lot of doors. Through there was Ken Block at DC Shoes, and it was able to, cooler than just working at DC Shoes. It was Ken Block kind of liking my style and uniqueness of how I worked with people and created helmets and different looks, whether it's driving suits or his motorcycle that was in Dub magazine. It was just a lot of like, hey, work with me and create something cool. So those, just every time you do that, as it just opens another door. Somebody else who did this, and it just your portfolio starts to look a little better. And along the way, you learn a ton. You learn a ton from each company. You have a lot of mentors and different people at brands that you kind of look up to, like a Ken Block, like Mark. That kind of, man, hey, why am I always doing this for other people? Like, why aren't I doing my own thing? And that's a huge challenge. There's a lot that goes into that. There's a lot of money that goes into that. There's a lot of, just big chances that you have to take to do that. And it's hard to support yourself and your family always when you get on that road. But when you can take those chances and do those things, I was fortunate enough to do that. So, like I said, a lot of failures that make you stronger each time. But that's what I feel is blessed me and allowed me to kind of get to the point I am today.
Yeah, and I think that one of the big things that we talk about is like taking risk, and like if you're afraid to take that risk, and it sounds like you took quite a few of those just to get where you wanted to get, and then taking and turning it into, when you fail, into just going after the next thing over and over again. Was there a time where you failed and you were just like, hey, I'm going to tap out, or how did that go? How did you deal with failure when it happened?
I mean, it sucks every time. Sometimes they're always a blessing in disguise. Like I said, things happen for a reason. So, there's a lot of times when your biggest challenge becomes just your business partner. When you have a business partner, which in a lot of times you have to do that. Whether it's financially or it's the business side, or there's different things that aren't my strengths. You're looking for other people that can support you in that and help you to make something take off the ground. But that doesn't always work out. So a lot of the failures were just business relationships, more than the product or the brand that we created. And again, that's just a learning experience. And that's where, when it came to Mark was someone that over the years, I'd always really looked up to, and really just kind of, just when he talks, kind of just draws you in, the things that I always learned from him. And also, he had a ton of success, and he had some failures, and I to me, that's what makes someone like Mark even a stronger person and even better person than someone that is only successful. So I love to see the success, to know that he knows how to do it over and over again. And I actually like to see the failure and how he handled it. We kind of found each other kind of in that moment to come together and like, hey, what are we going to do next? Because we were both kind of had things that fizzled out for certain reasons. And I just felt like, man, I think he's a stronger person now. And I think he's sometimes people are more open to listen and ideas and just kind of, when you're kind of brought down and kicked down a little bit, you're open to like, hey, I don't have all the answers. Who can work with me, and what strengths can I bring to the table along with someone else to build something that's successful?
Yeah, and that's crazy, because I think that, looking back at that, he called me yesterday and he said something to me, and I'll share it with you a little later, not on the air, but he's been telling me to push myself a little bit harder, and it's and I love it. I mean, it always makes me think when I get off the phone with someone like you, like him, it's always like, what more can you do? And I think like with my life, I got stuck in that I need to go work for someone, and that's not it. I mean, have you ever been like employed by one of these companies, or are you working for yourself kind of in a consultant? How does that work?
So always a consultant. A couple times I had little windows where I went somewhere for maybe a year or two. Again, you get to that point where it's almost like, brands kind of brought me in for that purpose, almost a rebranding, or kind of, a little restructure where they just, they have design teams, they have creative teams that they're not necessarily looking to get rid of. But I think some of the best companies, and every brand does it, Nike and Apple and beyond. They bring in outsiders to kind of dive in and look at things and not get stuck in that inner loop that they have for the people that are employees that live there every day, to come in and kind of see things from the outside and just lift things up, give a new twist and inspire people and do something different. My most recent job that I had prior to going to Trust Me Vodka was Ethica. So Ethica is a large underwear brand, lifestyle sports. They kind of came off the Under Armour trend of underwear, a little bit of Nike. So a great longtime friend of mine, Malcolm McCaskey, who also kind of came from the No Fear family and started his roots there and was right down the street from my house is where he grew up, and kind of was the kid running around the warehouse and just, getting everybody motivated and fired up and making jokes and stuff. And so I've been, friends with him since we were teenagers, and kind of helped him. He created the Ethica brand, and it told me this idea back, came into my house and was like, hey man, help me with some packaging. I'm going to put this stuff on Jeremy McGrath, the Supercross champion, and Travis Pastrana and Ryan Sheckler and all these guys. And, he's best friends with all these guys. So I'm like, cool. But like, dude, really? Like underwear? Like, come on. So I was sitting there doing, multiple jobs for different companies, kind of like, cool, he's my buddy. Cool. Like, yeah, here, let's do this, do that. And I would help him here and there and never expect anything in return. But it was always like, hey man, one day it's going to take off. I got you. And, it was probably 10 years later that, he gave me a call one day and was like, hey man, I got some money behind this, and I got some people, and what are you doing? Would you be willing to come work full time here? And it was kind of in that point, like you talked about, when you have some kind of failures and struggles and you're trying to pay mortgages and take care of your family, you get to a point where it's like, man, maybe everything can't just be an entrepreneurial go for it opportunity. You got to get in there and grind and maybe work for somebody else for a little bit and work your way out of that, So what was cool is I went and took the full-time job with Ethica, but it wasn't so much of this is a job. It wasn't a 9 to 5 sit behind a desk. So with the fact that I was kind of also one of the people behind Ethica from the beginning, I had the knowledge and understanding a little bit, like, trust me, of what the company needed, what the vision was. And so I was able to kind of, as a creative director for Ethica, really be open to not just doing design, but to really be on the forefront of like how Ethica could be the top brand in that category. I think I had a big, a lot of success in making that happen along with Malcolm, to enter into Tilly's and Zoomies, and now, right before I left, it started, getting into Foot Locker and Champs and becoming a staple piece, like Stance socks and things that you see that have their own freestanding displays on the floor. I helped create a lot of that stuff. So those are all things that I'm super happy about. While I was there, was the phase that we kind of created Trust Me Vodka, but obviously there was a lot of, years of, getting the bottle correct and figuring out who our artists were going to be and getting the vodka and everything we were going to do to launch. Once that really started taking off and I saw that there was an opportunity to go towards that, I jumped in and went full bore with Trust Me from there.
Yeah, and the thing about Trust Me, so it started in 2016, is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, we started a little bit before as far as the concept and the trademarks and create everything, but the launch was, yes, late 2016, almost 2017, as far as when we kind of had our first bottle, dropped it into the market, and really began the play.
And it's expanding. The one thing that I really like about it is it's kind of like you and Mark are the co-founders, but really the people who own it are the people who invest in it and the people who are part of the family. Can you talk a little bit about that, how you guys came up with that, how you decided to push it out that way?
Yeah, so that first kind of year was like, exciting for us because you actually have something tangible that you can hold on to, that you can taste and give to people. And for us, we've been talking about it so long before that's, it's amazing just to get to that point. Once we kind of found out that we kind of opened a bunch of accounts and had some success, and wow, we're out there. Like this isn't that hard. We're in 200 accounts. Problem was we just had 200 accounts with a bottle sitting there and really no movement because no one knew what Trust Me Vodka was. So the challenge in any industry and with any brand is to be recognized and to be called on by name for a product like ours. So we went through for about a year and started going like, okay, we're picking up a little bit of weight. But when we started out, we brought in some investors for a little higher dollar amount. We kept everybody the same so that there was no huge power taking over in this and how it was controlled. But we got enough money to get it off the ground and get to a certain point. But then Mark again was the genius behind bringing in what we call a friends and family and small investment opportunity. So it allowed us to, there's no type of Kickstarter or anything here. It's all super organic, which I think is the biggest success of why this is working. Our goal has been and still is to get to 20,000 people, which we feel really creates a network of people, family, people that are vested in this that can really go out and spread the word and talk about it. And so it's been a little over 2 years that we've been doing that. And this last, year and a half, as you've seen, amazing growth. We're at about 15,000 people right now. And it's amazing on what that is. What's cool about it is it's a different world today, how we communicate, not necessarily in a good way in most ways. You kind of get away from just sitting down face to face and having conversations with people and the things that really make you create relationships and have good connections. But the way that we've done this has forced us to do that. So very challenging in the last year, of course, with COVID, but we've still had so many people, so much support, and so thankful for everybody that's out there that's behind this and continues to get behind it and talk about it, because that's the only way that we're going to make this work. It's almost impossible for us our competitors or billion-dollar brands that you're going to turn on the TV, tomorrow and watch the Super Bowl and probably see a lot of commercials from these people, and we're just not there yet. Now, hopefully we will be someday, but we're not out there with millions of dollars thrown into this brand and throwing money at commercials and marketing the typical way that our competitors do. So this kind of old school, organic, have a conversation, shake a hand, hey buddy, trust me, and friends and family is what's really making this thing work.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about the man behind the art, because that's pretty much you, right? You're the person who you vet the artist, you get them to make the art for the bottles. There's a different series every, 20,000 bottles? Is that how many you go through before you change the bottle label?
Yeah, so every 20,000 bottles, that's our small batch run that we do in Rigby, Idaho. We do 10,000 of our gluten-free potato, and we do 10,000 of our organic wheat, and we select one artist for each series that does a piece of art for each bottle. Sometimes it's two different pieces of art that the artist will do to differentiate the two, and sometimes it's like our current bottle here from Evgenia Golik, who is a Russian artist actually that created this Liberty piece, and it's actually one piece that is that you put the two bottles together and it creates the one piece, and then they separate for the two. So there's different ways that we apply the art, but yeah, a lot of different artists. You can see some of them here behind me. My house is kind of covered inside and out with these different art. A very unique style that I've always been passionate about, and that's what I kind of brought into this, and that's the train that we've kind of continued to roll on, is that very contemporary realism, surrealism, like urban art, graffiti. I think it's very unique, and if you've never seen it before, I know I have a lot of people that come to my house and people that come to our offices and just are amazed by the style of art, and that's what I've always loved. I started putting this stuff in the house, so sometimes almost disturbing the styles of art in a way, but at the same time, it's like I feel like with my kids and everything, it was just always something that is it's so out of the ordinary from what you typically expect as far as what people define art as, that I think people just kind of sit there and look at it, and it just gives you this feeling, or puts a smile on your face. It makes you really think about what you're looking at, and I love that. So I've always just kind of wanted to put that just to give, when you walk into my house, just the vibe of what you get, like you do when you walk into our offices and stuff, and what you see when you get a bottle of vodka, bottles of vodka, your Grey Gooses and stuff. There's beautiful bottles, but they've been the same for 20 plus years. And what I love about ours, it's a beautiful bottle, but it's always changing on, what it is, that there's a story inside each bottle, and it resonates, and it's a different story translation for each person that touches it and drinks it, just as artwork should be.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I mean, there's some really cool art. It's all really cool. It's all I miss out on the fact that I didn't get the owl bottles because I think that's like the coolest, most iconic one out of all of them. But the ones that came out this time are awesome as well. They're all great, and the artists all have like a different flavor that they add to it, and it's kind of cool. I've been trying to collect one bottle for every time I invest, so that I have all the ones from when I started. So it's a fun little thing to collect them. It's kind of like I drink Blanton's bourbon, and they have little horses, and they have the letters with every single horse on the top there. So it's one of those things where it gives you an opportunity to collect it as well as drink it.
Yeah, it's been. That's the fun part for me is being able to find these artists, create relationships with the artist, and like I said, as you know, just all artists are so unique and have, someone like behind me we have, or here I'm backwards here, Victor Roman. So Victor Roman has become a really good friend. He lives pretty close to me, and he's at a gallery called Distinction Gallery in downtown Escondido here. And man, when you meet this guy, and he's a quiet, kind of just quirky, just cool dude, and you can tell he's an artist, man. He's into what he does, and he gets in there, and the amount of hours that he puts into these pieces, and if you actually sit there and watch him create a piece, and how long it takes to do an eyeball or something, or the hair, on the side of this tiger's face or something, you're just like, I've been there to do time lapse for these things, and 3 hours later, you're like, I'm just gonna come back another day because it's just like, this is crazy. When you hear their story, when you hear the story behind a piece like this piece that you're looking at right here, for example, unbelievable. You're just like blown away by what they say, and something that I can't even repeat. It's just amazing to dive inside the mind of some of these artists and what they do. But just the opportunity for me to I think give them a unique canvas to work with, and it goes all the way into with some of the artists we create collectors boxes and wood boxes, and currently we're getting ready to start a very large mural in downtown San Diego with our current artist, which her Instagram is Evgola. So we're going to be starting that as soon as next week. So it's just a lot of different opportunities to work with really cool people, but do things beyond vodka.
Yeah, it's funny. I posted a picture the other day because I live in Star, Idaho. So the vodka's made here in Idaho, but then they just put up this nice big mural on one of the restaurants in Star, and apparently you're supposed to be coming up here too at some point to help paint that mural.
Yeah, we were initially that was the plan, was to come up before the end of the year and do that. It was with everything that was going on, and also we have an artist that'll be coming out this year that created basically. Once you see the style of this artist, I wanted to create a piece that basically told the story of Trust Me Vodka, Idaho, Southern California. So the piece that this artist created, that's pretty much their trademark and their style. So they created an original piece for us that basically is one piece, but when you pull them apart, one bottle will basically represent Idaho, one will represent Southern California, and I'm looking to have that artist to be the one to come out to Idaho and paint the wall that you're talking about.
That's amazing. I can't wait to see that. And definitely when you're here, we'll get something together. We'll do a live show or something and get you watching you paint that. That would be awesome. Hey, so, what would you tell someone who is thinking about kind of like we're in that situation when you were younger? Obviously, you might do something a little bit different than what you did now, but what would you tell someone who's thinking about getting started into marketing, into art, into being an entrepreneur? Because I think that we're going to have more of this with people realizing that they don't really have to go to college, but they're just going to have to work a little bit harder. What would you tell people who are kind of in the same shoes that you were when you were younger?
Well, the world today is so different that the opportunity is just right there. Like you said, it's a matter of going out and getting it, working hard, and basically being ready for a lot of failure. But that's what's going to shape you, and that's what's going to get you there. But the social media platforms today, the creativity, the tools to create with computers and iPads, and the amount of things, again, when I talk about my first ever artwork that I did for No Fear, never with any intent that this is what I was going to do for a career, but just excited to even have the opportunity to do something that someone might even put on a t-shirt. The fact that they paid me on top of it was amazing. But what it took to do that was unbelievable. So the tools now today to create, to do what we're doing right now, to have cameras, to have lighting, to be able to do podcasts, to do radio shows, to do marketing, to do everything. There's more tools than you could ever possibly need, and there's zero excuses. So it's basically, if you're, the only reason you can't do it is you're just being lazy. And don't think that the first time you go out and do something that it's going to be a success, because it's probably not, and you got to be ready for that. So it's more about, just like, again, we're talking about, we got Super Bowl tomorrow, and I'm pretty sure everyone from Tom Brady to Patrick Mahomes to anybody in that Super Bowl hasn't just had nothing but success their whole life to get to where they are tomorrow. So, I mean, that's the same across the board with marketing, design, anything. You can design something, and I'm sure that these, I know for a fact these artists that I put on bottles from a Victor Roman that I was talking about, I know their upbringings and what they did and the struggles that they went through, and the no's and no thanks and everything they went through, and then look at them today. And that's just a matter of just grinding and doing it. But basically the tools that you have today, there's no excuse to be able to go out there and do anything you want.
Well, it's an amazing story, and I'm glad that I got to speak with you about it, because, every time I've interviewed Mark, I've interviewed Mark twice, and every time I interview him, he always talks about you. And I know that you're kind of a little bit behind the social media stuff, and it's great to have you kind of reach out and help out and talk a little bit more about the brand. So if anyone is looking to talk to you, you talked about Mark kind of being one of your mentors. Are you mentoring anyone? Are you helping other people to grow? Because that's kind of what helped you out. What is your thoughts on that?
Yeah, always. I'm always open to helping out anybody. And yeah, over the years, like I said, I know when I was at Ethica, I had a couple kids under me that came in and kind of they understood the industry more than the work and the, getting on and doing the actual work itself, but they understood, which was sometimes more important. It's more about, the creative vision and being able to sit at a table together and put together original ideas and creative ideas and understand how you're going to market and get those tools in the industry and take something from concept and to production to market and sell it. So I came across people like that I then kind of mentored into really understanding that whole process of idea that you can have sitting at lunch screwing around to, holy crap, this is at Zoomies and it's a top seller. So same with Trust Me Now. There's some people there that, I do my best, and it's always a challenge. There's so many different divisions, and we're very open to being able to kind of get out and do your own things and finding creative ways that, again, we're not sitting behind desk every day and just sitting at a computer. But there's so many things to do that I'm actually learning from people that work with me as well. I mean, we have people in there and people that are much younger and smarter than me that can get on the computer and understand, Google ads and understand the back end of ever-changing things like Facebook and Instagram and how they try and restrict us and keep us down on algorithms to how you can beat that, and just everything's constantly moving. So we're trying to keep up with that, and we wear a lot of different hats, so it's definitely challenging and harder than the days where I feel like I would focus in on these are my strengths and I would stay in this lane, and there would be other people that do other things. But with Trust Me, I think we all kind of have our finger on the pulse of a little bit of everything that's going on, which is good and also challenging, because you feel like you're getting pulled in a million different directions. But again, I feel like we're doing a good job in kind of disturbing the space that we're in, doing something really unique and different. And I think the success shows in the amount of people that have gotten behind us and are supporting us.
Yeah, and there's a lot. It seems like every time I get on my Facebook page, there's another Trust Me Vodka group coming up in a different state. Hey, so if someone wanted to contact you and talk to you, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
You can email me. It's my initials, mb@trustmevodka.com. My social media, Instagram is at mbaileythecool. Those are kind of a couple places that people reach out all the time, and I'm always interested to talk to people and meet new people. And never know what you get from that. So that's the beauty of kind of the networking and the group that we created is just we have pretty much every tool you could ever need right in our back pocket, and it's amazing.
Well, it's one of those things where I think that connection is a big thing, and I'm glad that I was able to connect with you. I was able to be a part of this. We have one last question that I always ask every single guest, and it's the same question, but it's different for every person. So that question is how do you shape your success? What is success in your eyes?
My success has been, like I said, I've said it a few times already. It's been created by a lot of failures, and again, failure by my definition. So maybe some of the things I've done, and some of the things other people would look at failures, and I guess I can't always put them on my resume as a failure because they're on my resume because I'm proud of things that I did, no matter how they turned out in the end. But I think the definition of success for each person it's kind of in your own eyes. What are you looking for? It's not always about, for some people it's about money, and money's great, and money does define a lot of things and allow you to do a lot of things and live maybe a happier life. But I always think it's about, having millions of dollars in the bank is defined as success. I think, like I said, I'd like to take the culmination of things that I've done over the years, the relationships that I've had, the people that have become great friends of mine today that reach out to me when they create new brands and just for advice and the willingness to talk to people and help other people out. There's room for everyone to succeed, and I think your success is just defined by your happiness in what you're doing. So I know there's a lot of times that I've been making good money and had a good job that probably anyone would take, and I haven't necessarily been the happiest person. I like when I'm doing something that makes me happy, that makes my wife happy, that makes my family happy, and that every day you just feel comfortable that the grind that you're going after is what you feel good every time you wake up. And I think that's your success, is going down that path. And I think that'll always change. I think even hopefully if and when Trust Me succeeds at the ultimate level, that's not the end game. I think once you have that kind of creative entrepreneurial spirit, it's like, this is fun. What's next? And I think that's success. It's the fact that you can just have a smile and have fun. And even when you're busting your ass, you're loving it. You're loving every minute of it.
Yeah, and I think that's a great way to look at it, because you're never complacent. You're happy. You want to keep going. Even though you've reached that one goal, you need to keep setting them and keep going, and that's what'll keep you moving. And then a little bit of golf too, right? You're a golfer. Is that what you do for fun?
So, well, now that you bring that up, okay, so definitely I would love to get to the point to where whatever job I do, the success comes that I can play more golf more often. Yes. That'd be fantastic. Yeah. Maybe get the ultimate, I guess, would be at the country club. So it's just, you can wake up and go at any moment.
Well, I'm not very good, but it would be fun to play sometime. So when you're up here, maybe we'll hit the course in between you painting that mural or something. Just go have a good time.
That's the best part about golf, is being able to play with anybody, any skill level, and have a blast. That's why I love it so much.
Yeah. Well, hey, I want to thank you for taking the time to be here. I definitely feel like we could cover a whole lot more. I just want to be respectful of your time and say thank you for being on here and taking the time. We'll definitely get you back on again.
I appreciate it, Wes. Thanks again. Yeah, it's awesome anytime we can get on and talk with you and any of the followers here, and advice, and just inspire people and have a good time. I'm down. Let's do it.
Yeah, and hey, if you guys are interested in investing in Trust Me, hit me up, let me know, or go to trustmevodka.com and become an investor, be part of the family, because it's definitely a growing brand, and it's very exciting. So thanks again, Mitchell.
Hey, thanks, Wes. Have a good weekend. Yep. Enjoy the
All
Super Bowl. Who you got?
Oh, yeah.
Who you got?
I'm going with the Bucks because I hate Brady, but I want to see that guy win another one with a different team. So
I'm with you.
There we go.
Chargers guy here, so no Chiefs. Can't have it.
No Chiefs, yep. All right, man. Well, you have a good weekend.
Right.
Thank you.
You too.
All right. Everyone, thank you for, you too. Everyone, thank you for tuning into the show. That is the end Tune in next time. Until then, I challenge you to find the shape of your success.